What is going on, everybody? This is Coach Joe with the Entrepreneur Experience, and I am excited for our guest, my friend, Randi Rose with Thrive Business Services. I haven't seen her in a while, but the minute we started talking again, it was like nothing had ever passed. Her and I got business coached by the same coach together, and that's kind of how we got to know each other really well. And then you actually helped our business through your bookkeeping services. So without me screwing everything up, Randi, what is going on?
There's no screwing up, Joe. Interacting with you it's sort of like one of those timeless friends.
Yeah.
There is, you're not somebody I necessarily talk to all the time, but I think about you. I think about your family. I adore your wife.
I do too. I do too.
Right. Good answer. Good answer. Okay. Serving.
And she's watching, so I.
But I know I know that you do.
Yeah.
Like, right? And so yeah, we met through coaching with Kari Kaufman before you were an action coach.
Yeah. Actually, you were the OG when I came in. I was like, oh, I gotta
OG.
talk to yeah. So Coach Kari Kaufman ran this awesome workshop called Growth Club, where every quarter all of us got together in this beautiful place called the University Club in San Diego, on the 30th floor or something like 29th or 30th
Whatever
floor.
It was
beautiful. It was a luxury experience. But I remember Randi, she just walks in, and she walks in purposely later than everybody else. So she can walk in, everybody looks back, and she just starts hugging everybody. Best hugs actually ever, right? Very, very intentional, good squeeze, and then 3 taps on the back, let go, right? Like it was great. It was great.
I now have to look to see if I have a format there. I don't think I realized it was the 3 taps. I'll take a look.
Well, there was a couple of taps, but I added that one in for emphasis, right? So it's oh,
you gotta
man.
be heart to heart when you hug.
Yeah.
You gotta be heart to heart. You gotta give a few seconds to really like feel the feels and get the breaths in. Otherwise, you don't have that connection.
Absolutely. I honestly agree. And for all those introverts, they just had a piece of Randi and it was great. And they became extroverts right after that. So, but anyways, so that's just a little piece. But before we get into the entrepreneur stuff, icebreaker, right? Are you a coffee gal or a tea gal? What are you?
I'm a coffee gal.
There we go.
Here's my, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Never underestimate the power of a girl with a book.
Yes. That's actually awesome. She read a lot, didn't she?
She did. My daughter, I have 2 children, and my daughter said has my name on it too.
Yeah.
So when my daughter graduated 8th grade, she's now a junior in high school.
Wow. Where does the time go? I remember.
I know, right? But when she graduated, her class graduated 8th grade, she had like this, it was a small school, so she had the same grouping. And so I got these mugs for everybody in her graduating class that was in her grouping. Cause I was like, and it was like mostly girls with just a couple of boys. And it was like, but I'm friends with all the moms, right? So it didn't matter whether us moms, we were the crew.
Yeah.
And so when I got them for the kids, I was like, I want one.
Yeah. Like, right.
I want one. I got one for me. I think I got one for Gayle. I got one for my mom. Yeah. I was like, seriously, man, never underestimate the power of a girl with a book.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. I love how time has really improved the situation, especially for women, obviously, but this is not a political podcast.
Depends on what state you live in, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah, we won't go there. However, it's, okay, so coffee, black or with creamer?
Coffee, I like it with creamer. And really, my taste buds like it's sweet. However, I'm off sugar. So I'm just going to do me with I'm a very mellow roast. Okay. I'm like a Dunkin' Donuts kind of gal.
Oh, okay. So that's I feel that's too watery, in my opinion.
I like a very mellow roast and with my creamer. And really, my favorite is probably a honey oat milk latte.
Ooh. You're right in line with Christy, my wife. If she has me run to Starbucks, it is an oat milk, some type of latte with oat milk on ice. Yeah,
I'm like a honey oat milk latte, light on the honey, just a little bit of sweetness. But
I'm weird. It's probably because I'm a dude. I like it a little bit more bitter. I'm actually an espresso guy. I could do straight espressos.
Really?
it's probably the French in me. I kind of grew up that way. So, um,
Yeah.
well, hot or cold coffee? What do you run to typically?
I run to if it's a latte,
Mm-hmm.
you know, cold is sort of like a dessert. You know, you just drink it so fast
Right.
because it's like soda, even but it's soda, right? And it's like, oh, it's something sweet.
Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
if it's hot, I sip it more.
Yeah.
So I like that. Usually it's hot, but in the summertime, or if I'm of age to have my own personal summers. So if I'm, feeling a little bit on the warm side, I might just go for the ice.
Ladies and gentlemen, see what I mean? See what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? This is gonna be fun.
You just think of what's out.
Yeah,
So
I don't know what's wrong with me, and I wouldn't say it's wrong with me. I'll take that back. That's a very bad mindset.
there's
However,
nothing wrong.
no, I'm just, for me, if coffee's not hot, it's not pleasant, even on a hot day. I don't know. If it's not hot,
Everybody's
it's not pleasant.
everybody's different. My dad only likes drinking coffee out of a glass cup, out of glass, not ceramic.
Oh, okay. Teach their
Everybody's got
own.
their thing. It is not for me to judge. You do you, boo. It's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. Nice. Okay, and lastly, if you have a favorite local coffee shop, you can't say Starbucks just because it's local to you, but if you have a
It's
very,
local to everybody.
right,
Um, my
mom pa,
a mon pa.
yeah,
There
if you,
is a really awesome mon pa shop down the street from my house. It is called the Forum.
mm,
And it's my kids' go-to
mm,
because she likes to go there. Like it's a lot of college students, and it's one of those places where you can just go, everybody works, they've got really yummy food, but
yeah,
like it is like you are in the zone. So I
right.
would say the Forum. It's over
It's
in San Diego here. It's a good place.
okay. I'm gonna be down there in a couple of weeks, so I'll probably check that one out.
Okay, it's over
Well,
in Claremont.
Claremont. It does sound like a Claremont coffee shop. I don't know why, but in my mind, I was like, this is Claremont or somewhere around there.
Right. That's where I kind of spend most of my time.
Yeah,
So
that's not a bad area, but all right, cool. So I'm actually going to switch this up a little bit. I know they sent you a lot of questions, but now that we talked, I have a very interesting question I want to ask you about entrepreneurship.
okay.
And I love how different each person's answer is that I interview. But if you could describe what success is to you, what would you say it is?
Oh, that's a loaded question. That's a loaded question, Joe.
That's why I wanted to ask it. It just
And
popped up. I was like, oh, let me throw her a
I'm
curveball.
like, well, it's okay. How would I describe success to me?
Mhm.
Well, there's no question. I'm looking at the ceiling because the answer's there.
Mhm.
Don't you know that?
Right.
Right. It's on one of those.
Mm,
Listen, every day above ground is a successful day.
mm,
Just to start off the bat, every day
okay.
above ground's a good day because the alternative is very,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Um, I'm a big believer in metrics.
Okay.
Like how do there's the feeling about something,
Mhm.
and then there's the quantification of it,
Right.
right? So you got like quantity versus quality,
Sure.
right? I'm a numbers person. I
Okay.
have an accounting services company that I co-own with my best friend. We're all about the numbers and what do the numbers tell you.
Mhm.
But if your numbers are good and your experience of life is crap, I don't really call that success,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
it's not necessary. So numbers are important,
Mhm.
but quality
Right.
is just as important, if not more so, than quantity,
Mhm.
right? So
Can you put that in a visual for our listeners? Like, because I know exactly what you mean. I tell people this all the time. Numbers don't care about your feelings. They tell you what's going on and you
that's
make
right.
decisions off of them. So,
Numbers tell you what emotions won't.
exactly. Because emotions will make you believe X, Y, and Z, right? Like most entrepreneurs, I know for myself, we're very emotional people. We're dreamers. Yeah, I know my bank account says this, but we can actually take that mountain, right? Like it's like that. But you said something very interesting because let's just say your numbers are great business. Your P&Ls are great. Your balance sheets are great. Your cash flow is happening, but you don't have the quality of life, which you alluded to. Can you, because I'm pretty sure the way you saw it 15 years ago is much different than now, right?
So funny you say that. I was just going to say to you, it
Mm-hmm.
really does depend on the season of life that you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you're a business coach.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a business coach. I've been a certified life coach. I have a lot of like coaching background that I had no idea I would ever be able to use with my accounting degree.
Mm-hmm.
Could not have predicted what the path was. But what success is to me now at 52 is very different than what it was at 40, is very different than what it was at 30,
Yeah.
is very different than what it was before then.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's always important to find out what someone's intention is for their life.
Yeah.
Because everything is going to be determined off of what's the end result you're looking to accomplish.
Beautiful. I love that. So as a business coach,
Yeah.
some of the first conversations I have with any new client, and even if it's somebody I know, is what is this business supposed to do for you? In essence, what are we looking at as far as end result based off of your knowledge now, right?
Right.
So I love what you said, that the end result is success has a lot to do for you as far as am I getting closer to that end result each time, right?
Absolutely. One of the initial intentions,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I own the business with my best friend of 26 years. My best friend of 26 years. So Gayle and I have known one another since 1998 when I first moved to San Diego. So it's been 26 years, right? And we've had the opportunity. I've worked for her. Like, this is not our first go round in working together. So
Wow.
we've gotten really good at, here's the friend hat, here's the business hat, here's the friend hat, right? It's not easy. It's,
Sure.
However, the initial intention of Thrive was so that my kids didn't have to be in the after school program. That was literally one of our intentions of having the business, for that type of flexibility. Given I've got two kids, right now they're 17 and 10, and they each have had different needs, different seasons. And so having the flexibility to take care of my family, doing what I'm good at, and getting paid a handsome, or like being able to afford my life, because that's the other piece about success.
Sure.
The things I like to do today are different than the things I like to do in my 20s or my 30s. They cost more.
They do. And we fall asleep sooner too, right?
What'd you say?
And I said we go to bed sooner too.
Oh yeah, man. Honestly, I laugh.
In my 20s, I could watch a movie and not even fall asleep. Now it's like I can't. It's like 5 minutes and I'm falling asleep.
Yes. Yeah, I mean 9 o'clock. I'm like, like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
But
okay, that is so beautiful. I love that, because I interview so many different people, and in many cases, not all, but in many cases, that end result, that visualization that is so clear for you, is not always there. And I know for every entrepreneur, it really depends on the season of the business they're in. Like, they might be so entrenched in the challenges going on, because you said something, you started the business because you didn't want your kids to be in after school, but it probably didn't start off that way. There was probably a lot of challenges that challenged that want.
Well, there were.
Yeah.
I mean, when we started, and this is sort of like seasons of business, right? So when we started, it was just Gayle and myself. We were the ones doing the bookkeeping. We were the ones doing the consulting. We were the ones doing the advisory work. We were the ones that did it all. When we made the decision initially, and for me to not work behind the chair, in the beauty industry, it would be behind the chair, but like to work in the business, versus on the business, it actually took about 2.5 years for that transition to be fully complete. So, there's this there's this thought process for those of you who I'm dating myself here. Like, back in the I Dream of Jeannie days, like it's happened, it's done, it's handled, right? Like Aladdin, Genie, whatever, your three wishes. It's sort of like, just because something's a really good idea doesn't mean it's going to be, the definition of easy and simple are two different things.
Absolutely.
Easy can be very simple, but implementing simple is not necessarily
always easy. Yeah.
Right?
What do you think the biggest challenge was then? Because it took sometimes in entrepreneurial years, 2.5 years seems like a lifetime, especially if it's something you need to desperately happen. Like, I don't want my kids in after school programs. What was the biggest holdup then that took that long?
So I'm going to say it this way. It's twofold, and it really impacts a couple of different things. Because one of the thoughts I had before was, if you can't step away from your business for more than a certain period of time, what you've created for yourself is not a business, but a job.
A job.
It just happens to be a job that you own. You're not working for somebody else. You're working for yourself. What you've created is a job. So last year, Gayle had the blessing of getting married and going on her honeymoon.
That's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
I think our honeymoon was a 3-week honeymoon. I've had the blessing of going on a 3-week vacation.
Wonderful.
Now, it's not to say that there isn't impacts, but business doesn't stop when that happens. It's not like, oh, I'm not working, therefore the business is done.
Right.
Which is different, which is a business, not a job.
Right.
Any place. So you asked, I'm going to now bring that back. Because it really is about replication, automation, delegation. It really is about you not doing the doing.
Right.
And the only way for you not to do the doing is for you to have systems and processes and everything all in place. So there's a theory that when there's a breakdown or a challenge or something doesn't go the way it's supposed to go, 95% of the time, most of the time, people look to go, it's a people problem.
Right.
Someone either didn't do, like, it's a people problem.
It's a systems problem.
95% of the time, it's a process problem.
Yeah.
It's a systems problem and then there's the 5% of, does the person have the will or the skill? Because people are either willing.
Yeah.
You can train skill. You can't train will.
Right. Oh, I love that. You can train skill, you can't train will.
You can't train will.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't know how to do something, okay, do they have the skill set? Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the education? Do they have the capability? Okay, do they have the willingness?
I love that.
You can train them.
I remember a pastor of mine, or a pastor that guest spoke at an event I went to. He said, you got to ask yourself this question whenever you're running into a breakdown in your business, whether it's a people breakdown or whatever, because you're right. We tend to blame the person instead of looking inwardly. You have to ask yourself your question, Joe, is what he said. Is this a problem to solve or tension to manage? I said, I don't understand, because problem to solve, I get it. Get rid of that person. Tension to manage, what do you mean? Well, there's tension there, but is it really that person's fault? As a leader, did you empower them enough through systems and training and all? Is this just, hey, you need to be trained a little bit more because I put a little too much on you and I asked a little too much, way beyond your skill capabilities? Or are you truly just not caring, and do we have to figure this out, right? So what you said was kind of like what the pastor told me there.
Right.
And I kept that through even till now. Like, I always ask, is this a problem to solve or tension to manage? Like, that is my mantra every single time something happens. So that is actually a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's there was something that you said that I was going to respond to. It'll come back.
Yeah, that's called entrepreneur ADHD, right? Like it's
Oh, is
just
that what it is?
I don't know. I made that one up because I go through it all the time. So.
It's like if it's important, it'll come back. I've gotten to the point where if it's an important enough thing, it'll just show.
It'll come back up like 2 weeks later when it doesn't matter anymore. But still, it'll
Sometimes,
come back up.
yeah. Honestly, one of my I'm one of those people that gets their what I'll call downloads in the shower. I have some of my best thoughts in the shower, and I was so at some point I'd be like, I need to take notes. I literally went online and looked for a waterproof pad that I can put in my shower.
Oh, wow.
It's called Aqua Notes. Like, seriously, I mean, like, people who scuba dive and take notes, there's waterproof paper.
That is awesome.
I am not kidding you, Joe. There's waterproof
paper. I need that because I'm the same way. Like sometimes I just come up with the best ideas in the most
best ideas
moments.
In the shower. Yeah. So I literally have it's Aqua Notes. I literally have it in my shower. It's on there like with sticky, suction cups and a pencil, like a number 2 pencil. What? Right? We spent how much money in the space program and NASA to figure out like how to make a ballpoint pen that will write in space. The Israelis use a number 2 pencil. Very big. Like, let's keep it simple, right?
Yeah.
And
it's so funny that you said the Israelis because I feel like I take Israeli Krav Maga, and so the concept
I love Krav Maga.
Yeah, the concept of it is what's the simplest and most effective use of this, and I'm like, I need to learn from the Israelis. Everything's simple, fast, effective, go right, and based off of what they go through every day on the world, and that's probably the reason why they've developed that system for everything. So
to get back to what you were saying, you know what it means when you assume something, right?
Yes.
Okay, we don't need to spell it out. Everybody's hurt, right? So, if we assume a lot. We forget that not everybody has the same knowledge, the same information, the same thought process, the same experiences. So there's certain things when we're going through instructions, the question, how would I know that? How would I know that? How would I know that? Because if we really do assume a lot, a lot. And so when you talk about that, is it tension to attend to, or is it a problem to solve? Is there something in the training, in the instructions, in something where I've assumed that somebody knows something that if they had that information, I could then hold them accountable. Yeah. If there's missing information or missing instruction or missing clarity, I can't hold somebody accountable to the results that I need them to produce.
That is leadership on fire. Yes. Yeah, that is leadership on fire. I love that. I could tell you're a fantastic leader based off of that. How many team members do you have?
That's a really good question. Because sometimes it'll change. We have,
as of a minute ago.
As of a minute ago, I think it's like between 12 and 13.
Nice. Are they all in person? Are they virtual? Is it mixed?
We don't do anything in person. So versus when we knew you from back when, because I would come on site. Yeah, we are 100% virtual. Okay. Our employees are all across the United States. So we're in every time zone. We have 3 different departments. So like literally when someone comes and becomes a new client, they go into onboarding, right? Because onboarding is different than doing the actual work. Like we got to get in your books. We got to get it clean. We got to make sure that we tie to your most recently filed tax returns, like all of that. And then you'll first transition to either the beauty department, because that is a specialty that we have, or into the non-beauty department, which we call production.
We're all in production. Yeah. What else do we call these people?
Like it's the production department.
Yeah.
So, by the time somebody goes from onboarding into the production department or the beauty department, man, those boxes need to be, those I's need to be dotted, those T's need to be
Oh yeah.
crossed, the SOPs need to be in place, the work items, all
Mhm.
of that stuff. So it kind of, again, if there's any friction
Mhm.
going from one place to the next, it's okay, what's at the source of the friction?
Right.
Are we missing a step? Do we have an assumption? Does somebody need more training? Did we not put an instruction in? Did we not set a clear expectation? How does that go?
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
how do you lead? Because I could see that your firm is pretty busy. I mean, with the health and beauty, that's I know we talked about this before, but that's a whole different beast on its own. And then you have production. You come across as a very good leader based off of the philosophies that we're talking about. So
yeah.
how do you and Gail run the business now, so that way the business is not the both of y'all? It's your team, it's the systems. Like what have you put in place as far as your job description and the boundaries that you should have?
Oh, these are good questions,
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah. Really
We
off
have,
script. I know I gave you some different
I don't
questions,
care,
but
like
we're
you,
doing
right?
this.
Like
Yeah.
let's just have it, right?
Mhm.
We have an org chart. And by
Okay.
the way, we've worked with a coach since the very
Mhm.
beginning of the company,
That's awesome.
right? Like
Yeah.
we've always had a coach. We've been
Mhm.
through a number of different coaches, right?
Yeah.
But we've always had a coach, and our coach for the last number of years has been somebody who is one of the industry and thought leaders in our industry. So
Cool.
sometimes there really is something to be said for being industry specific
Sure. I
and
agree.
getting advice and coaching sometimes when it's this is what they focus on, this is what they do, right? Like you would have a knowledge of field service that somebody else who's never worked field service would not have.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't coach anybody else, but if
Sure.
somebody's looking, they're a field service business, it would behoove them to work with
Sure.
somebody who's walked in
Well,
their shoes.
75% of my clients are home services and construction, just because I used to be a contractor, right? So boom.
So you know that exactly. Now I've never combed or held a brush or anything. I just somehow magically made it into the beauty industry. Uh, but to go back to your question, which was
So the question was, how do you and Gail
okay,
structure your job descriptions and KPIs to make sure you're leading and not being the
perfect.
business? Yeah.
Thank you. Right. So we start with the job with the org chart.
Okay.
Up until a few years ago, we did not have an official org chart. It was
Okay.
just right. That's the first thing. The second thing is about 6 years ago, we Gail officially. It was again. Sometimes your business is going to pivot based on seasons of life. I got separated and got a divorce.
Yep.
At the time, it was like an opportunity for Gail to be like, you handle sales, just talk to people. I will handle everything else. So, as far as knowing the roles, she handled operations, she handled finance. It wasn't like I didn't know about it,
Right. Right.
but my role was sales and revenue, and her role was this.
Mhm.
There are then things that needed to be learned in growing there, and the
Yeah.
KPIs, your your leadership, like where you have leadership being lateral, like you have different roles.
Right. Right.
You have your chief revenue officer, your chief human officer, your chief people officer, your chief financial officer, your chief technology officer, all of those things.
Mhm.
Gail is most of those.
Mm.
So and I'm sales and marketing and revenue. So how we hold one another accountable. We
Mhm.
work with our KPIs to be like, okay, we set up our goals together.
Mm.
We align on them together. We
Mhm.
have to review them on a regular basis.
Gotcha.
And right? And then we have always with the end in mind, this is what we want from the end of the year. Okay, how do we step it back? How do we step it back? And then the the intention of having departments was so that in as again as we've grown, i I do development of the team, so it's not like I only do like there's crossover, but really
Yeah.
if there's a bill that comes in, I'm not the person you want to ask. I know how to use QuickBooks just like anybody else in my company, but Gail has her process. I don't, right,
Right.
Gail will take lead,
Mhm.
right, the other person takes lead, and then there's certain things we work together.
Right.
But But that goes back to leadership and holding people accountable. Only one person can be responsible for producing results. You can only hold one person's hiney over the fire. Right?
Yeah.
So if we have a department head in each of the departments. So it's for the department head is responsible for the results of the department. They then work with their team, and it's our job to, what do you need? Have we given you all the tools? Have we given you all the resources? Have we given you all the training? Do we have the right systems in place? If we do, what's in the way?
I love that.
Right? I can't hold you accountable if you're not clear how you are producing the results.
So managing their KPIs is really important for you and Gayle.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that'll give you the answers on if they're doing it the right way or not, or if they need help or not, right? It's like, okay,
Correct.
hey, 100% is not adding up to 100%. Let's talk about that. Like, why? Right?
Exactly.
Right?
So, and this is going to sound like kind of a minutia kind of thing, but listen, your calendar is your existence system, right? It's on the calendar. This is what you do then. It's kind of how that goes. If you have 8 hours in a day, and this goes back to that work-life balance, do you have a job? Do you have a business? That type of thing, right?
Right.
If you have enough time scheduled for all the things that you've promised, do you? How would you know? You put it on your calendar,
right?
Shows you what your capacity is. No different when you had field workers, right? How much sales do you need to, for that department, division, person to be profitable? Okay, great. Are you priced accurately? If not, what do you need to do? Like everything goes back to, here's the KPI that you want to hit,
right?
Whatever that measure is, and then what do you need to do in order to do that? And it always goes back to that. And then the numbers tell you the story with no emotion.
Yeah. Well, I love the story because you can look at the story, you can recognize patterns, and with those patterns, you can actually make some healthy projections for the future. It tells you what you need to change. It tells you what you're doing well. Do you remember the 5 ways formula that Coach Carey taught us?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
Right.
But I have no doubt that
if I showed it to you again, you'll be like, oh yeah, absolutely.
I have no doubt that we utilize it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's basically a formula that says there's 5 things that as an entrepreneur you can control to get 3 results: customers, revenue, profit.
Right.
We're only looking for those results sometimes. And sometimes if you're self-employed, you can get so caught up in, do I have enough customers, revenue, and profit, where there's 5 areas that you can literally influence. You can influence your leads, your conversions, your number of transactions, average dollar sell, and your profit margins. If you just focus on those 5 things, then the results will speak for themselves.
Everything will trickle down.
Exactly. And so what you're saying is, as a leader, your job is to manage the managers to get the results by helping them to focus on the right things. And you are in charge of making sure that their focus is on the right things.
Yes. And in charge of them having the development that they need, the skill set. So we invest a lot in our employees. We are a small business, but we invest a lot in our employees because they can't, I want to say assume, but we take their growth and development seriously.
That's good.
Right? They are our biggest asset. So there's an expression, sometimes you get a say, sometimes you get a vote, sometimes you like, what is it? Sometimes you get a sometimes you get a say, sometimes you get a vote, sometimes you get neither.
Yeah.
Right?
That sounds like life.
Well, it is also life. But like sometimes you get a say, sometimes you get a vote, and sometimes you don't get either.
I'm going to repeat that to my teenagers.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome. I have a 16 and a 15-year-old. Yeah, that's going to work well with them.
That's going to work very well with them. Because sometimes it's just what mom and dad say. It does.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And we'll explain later.
When it's your house and you pay the rent, you make the rules.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh man, this is awesome. Well, I want to get to this one last question
Yeah.
because I know it's going to take a minute. Um, I would love to know the greatest challenge you could think of that you faced in your business. And what did you and Gayle do to really fix that problem or that challenge that's making you what you are today? Because there's going to be hundreds, maybe even thousands of people eventually watching this video. And they're, as entrepreneurs, we know this. We are problem solvers. We have faced challenges every day. And in the moment, the challenge that we feel is probably the biggest challenge. And then we fix that, then we go to the next one. But looking back, a pivotal challenge, a pivotal moment in your business.
Mhm.
What was it, and what did y'all do to fix it?
So I can definitely tell you, we have a vision, mission, purpose of our company,
Mm-hmm.
right? We know who we are. We are champions for small business.
Got it.
We are, I'll probably butcher this without reading it, which is, ooh, so bad. Right? But we are in the business of generating wealth for our clients. See, now I have to go look at it. That's so bad. We exist to create thriving, conscious, wealth generating businesses.
I like that.
We champion small business, and how we do it is, we do bookkeeping, that's so minimizing what we do. We maintain accurate financial blah blah in business performance data. We streamline back office systems. We mentor business owners to understand their numbers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have a systemized way of doing that, right?
Right.
However, one of the biggest things, and also at a certain point most confronting, is knowing who your ideal client is.
Okay. I like where this is going.
Is knowing who your ideal client is. Because it still also then goes back to the 5 ways formula, right? It's is what you're selling profitable, right? Everything's going to start with, it goes back to, is what you're selling profitable?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's not profitable, what is in your control? You can control price. You can control how long it takes for you to do the service. Those are the 2 things in your control. Great. One of them has to do with systems, processes, automations, training. The other is, are you dealing with the right person? Because if somebody is only, and this is not disparaging, if somebody's season of their business is there at the $250,000 mark in revenues a year, it's not necessarily appropriate for them to be paying $1,500 a month for bookkeeping.
Yeah.
They don't have that need. So is that person who has a lifestyle business and is doing $250,000, $350,000, are they the ideal target for somebody who's looking to work with a salon, a business that's doing 1.5 million?
Right.
Knowing your ideal target and who it is that you want to work with is very important. It becomes your North Star. Then the question is, do you have the skill set to actually provide the service that that person needs? If not, what do you need to do in order to be able to provide the skill set? What do you need to learn? What do you need to put in place? What do you need to train your team on? Do you have the right team members? Do you have the right people to do that? Do you need to hire somebody different? That could be a 3-year process. And in the time period of going from, okay, now I work with people who are doing $250,000 a year in revenue. Now I'm working with people who do $500,000. Now I'm working with people who do $750,000.
I love that.
Now I'm working with people who do $1 million. Now I'm at $1.5 million. Now I'm at $3 million. Now I'm at $10 million, because each of those different businesses is going to have different needs depending on the season of where they are.
Right.
So it's really knowing who you serve.
And
then
how has that costed you? Because every business has learned that lesson the hard way. I'm convinced of it. I have. When you were doing my bookkeeping, I think we've had couple of these conversations before because, looking at some of the things you do, like, holy crap, I didn't profit off of that trash, right? Like, so really quick, the 1 minute version, how has that costed your business? Let's just give some people some hope to know that somebody
Some
as big as
hope.
you
Okay.
can still go through that.
How has it cost our business? Well, there's the tangible. It's confronting, man. I gotta tell you, it's confronting now.
Just think you're gonna help somebody. Just
I'm gonna help somebody. There's like, okay, over promising and under delivering is a huge cost because someone's paying you to provide a service, and not for any malicious intent. You may be overselling what you can do in the hope that I will learn that by the time I'm due.
Right.
That could be something that people wind up doing. Gayle has talked to me about the expression, painting the plane in flight. You're an entrepreneur. You are always going to be painting the plane while it is in flight.
Yes.
You need to be able to pivot. Right? Like you need good information to be able to pivot, to be able to, right? So so investing in ourselves, investing in our people, we have spent tens of thousands of dollars developing ourselves in new skills in order to be able to sell higher services so that we can go be in front of people who can pay more money.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah. So what I'm getting out there is it's costed you because there are many times that you oversold and underdelivered, and people see it. Like, you can fake it till you make it for a few months, and then but you're right. I mean, I feel like as an entrepreneur, yes, it's like, hey, let me jump off the cliff while I'm building my glider, and that is actually very noble sometimes, but you also got to be very careful because you get the wrong person to see that and they're going to call you out on it. But sometimes you need that, and then it'll force you to go fix what you have to fix.
Right. And sometimes it's being really straight about that with somebody. Say, listen, I know what you need. I know I'm the person, I understand this part of it, and my weakness might be here. I can find someone who can help me put it together.
Boom.
But I know what you need. I'm going to price it this way. Sometimes you might offer something when you pilot something differently until you get your mojo, for lack of another word. Right?
Mojo. I like, my name is in there, Joe.
Joe, right? Yeah. Like until you can kind of be like, yeah, I can have this conversation. Yeah. You're going to be my pilot. You're going to be my guinea pig. And sometimes
most of the time when you're straight about that, they're okay.
Totally.
It's when you're not and they call you out on it that they're like, hey, right. Yeah. So, okay.
Naming it and getting ahead of it is very important.
Yeah. And I think that people respect it even more. And I think that even articulates value, if anything, where they're willing to pay you that and say, look, if you grow with me and I grow with you, we're going to really do some pretty great things here. So, well, look, I wish I could talk to you a whole nother hour because this is awesome. Last question.
I wish so too.
I know. Well, look, part 2, and then we're going to bring,
and then we're going to bring
Gayle in. Yeah. So, but really quick. So if you can go back and talk to Randy, who just started this with Gayle, that knew nothing, what would be the best advice you can give this partnership based off of what you know now?
Trust yourselves, and you are not going to eat the elephant in one sitting.
That's some pretty damn good advice right there.
Deal with what's right in front of you, knowing where it is you want to get to, and go back to what's right in front of you and what's in your control, what's not in your control.
I love that.
That is what I would say.
Oh man, that hit deep actually, because I feel like I face that challenge often. I try to eat too much. I think that as entrepreneurs, you and I have the same personality. We're very salesy, inspirational. It's really easy to be ambitious about what we could eat, right? Like the elephant, right? And then our business partner's like, hey, come over here. There's a process. Back up. Yeah, cut this thing in pieces and we're going to freeze the rest, right? So I love that. Randy, how can people get a hold of you if they wanted to? Do you have a social media feed? If let's just say that they are businesses that might want to inquire about your services, what's the best way to?
We do. We have, let's see, we have an Instagram. Hold on. Like now, oh man. We have a Facebook page, which is Thrive Biz Online. Biz is B-I-Z. I'm not sure about Instagram. We are also on LinkedIn.
Okay.
That's on our website. We have a website, which is Thrive. Is, you know, a lot of S's in here. So it's Thrive Business Services.net. Yes, there are 3 S's in a row. They can always email me, Randi, R-A-N-D-I, at thrivebusinessservices.net. And our telephone number is 619-688-9248, and I'm extension 0.
Sweet. Well, we'll type all that into the title and in the comments below. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it'll probably be in the comments. If it's on social media, it'll be on the top and in the comments. If you're watching this on any podcast platform, well, then you're going to have to just listen carefully and, write it all down. So, Randy, thank you so much for gracing us with your time. It has been a fun conversation with you. And, I love watching your success.
Pleasure, Joe. It's really, I've enjoyed it very much. I definitely miss you. And really, honestly, we're all about educating the entrepreneur so that they can succeed. Gayle has an expression, which is business owners don't go into business to fail.
No, they don't. I love that.
Don't.
I'm going to steal that quote because
and as long as you attribute Gayle Goldman.
Gayle Goldman.
Gayle Goldman, like business.
That name sounds very royal. Gayle Goldman.
It does, I know. But businesses don't go into business. Business owners don't go into business to fail. What do they need in order to not fail?
I think you got a couple of people crying this listen right now because that's true. No, seriously. How many times do we feel like failures if something small happens? You're absolutely right. You're absolutely freaking right. That's awesome.
And here's the thing. If you're not failing, if you're hitting the mark each and every time, you ain't playing a big enough game.
You ain't playing a big enough game. I like that. You're supposed to be nervous and excited at the same time. That's how you know.
Big body sensation.
Yeah. Get scared and excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, Randi Rose, Thrive Business Services, and I'll see all of you guys on the next podcast.
Bye.